All right, let's talk about it. Mexico just put on a show against Iceland, and we're here to break down every single detail. I mean, this wasn't just a simple win, it was a statement. So what exactly made this performance so dominant? Let's dive in.
Just look at that score, 4-0. A scoreline like that, well, it speaks for itself, doesn't it? It's a message of pure dominance from the opening kickoff right to the final whistle.
You know, ESPN put it pretty bluntly. The Mexican team obtained a comfortable triumph against a rival that offered little resistance. And look, it's easy to hear that and think, okay, so what? They beat a weaker team. But when you dig a little deeper, a one-sided game like this really shines a light on who stepped up and what's really clicking for this squad.
So who were the architects behind this absolute demolition? Right? Every huge win has its heroes, so let's kick things off with the players who were just operating on a whole other level.
First up, we have to talk about Jesús Gallardo. An 8 out of 10 rating plus the star for man of the match. Seriously, he wasn't just good, he was immense. An absolute force out there on the pitch.
And here's why he got that star. It was the complete package. I mean, he gave you a bit of everything. He pops up to score the third goal with a great header, he bags an assist, but the crucial part, he was a rock defensively. For a left back to have that kind of balance between his attacking and defensive duties, that was just masterful to watch. Sharing that top spot with an 8 rating is the man who led the attack, Armando González. From the very start of the match, he was an absolute nightmare for Iceland's defenders, just relentless.
And this is exactly why he was such a handful. Yeah, he got a goal and an assist just like Gallardo, which is awesome, but look at that. His constant movement, dropping between the lines, dragging defenders all over the place. That intelligent play is what really cracked Iceland's defense wide open and made space for everybody else. What a day for him.
And rounding out our superstar trio of 8 out of 10s is the engine in the middle of the field, Brian Gutiérrez. If the team was a car, this guy was the motor making it all go.
He really was the engine room, wasn't he? He gets his goal with a really cool finish, one-on-one with the keeper, but his impact was felt everywhere. His passing in the final third was just razor sharp, and he was always popping up in dangerous areas. And you want to know the best part about his goal? He made it happen himself, winning the ball back with a high press. He literally created his own luck. But you know, those star players can't shine like that without a rock-solid foundation behind them. So let's shift our focus a bit to the rest of the team, the guys who provided that structure and stability that let the attackers just go wild. This is all about the team's reliable core.
And here's that core group, every single one of them earning a solid 7 out of 10. You had Rangel in goal, who came up big with key saves to get that clean sheet. Over on the right, Richard Ledezma gave them width and was a constant threat going forward. At the back, Israel Reyes was so calm, just keeping everything organized. And Eric Lira was that critical link between the defense and the attack. Every one of them played a huge part in what was a really controlled, confident performance.
Okay, but even with a 4-0 win, let's be real, no performance is ever perfect. The best teams are always looking at how they can get better. So let's pull back on the excitement for just a second and get a little more analytical about the few things that could still be sharpened up.
The analysis actually pointed to the central defender, Everardo López, as, and I'm quoting here, the weakest piece of the Mexican defensive apparatus. Ouch. He got a 6, and while Iceland didn't punish him for it, there were a few mistakes in his positioning and marking that got noticed. You know, against a sharper opponent, one of those moments could have changed the game.
And then there were a couple of other guys who just couldn't quite get into the flow of the match, both getting a 6.5. Marcel Ruiz, for example, he was part of the build-up play, but he just didn't have that killer final ball. And on the wing, Efrain Alvarez had a pretty quiet day. He struggled to connect his passes and didn't even manage a single shot. Not bad performances, not at all, but they just weren't quite at the same electric level as everyone else. So, we've looked at the individuals. Let's zoom out and look at the big picture. What does a commanding 4-0 win like this really tell us about this team? What's the major takeaway here? It really all comes down to this. The attack, led by our 3 MVPs, was absolutely lethal, no question. Behind them, the rest of the team was solid and totally in control. But, and this is probably the most important thing to keep an eye on, there were a few small defensive lapses that really need to be tightened up. So yeah, it was a fantastic, dominant win, for sure, but maybe with a tiny little asterisk for the future.
And that leaves us with one big, exciting question. We saw flashes of absolute brilliance today. So, if this team can iron out those little defensive wrinkles and play with this kind of fire all the time, what's the real ceiling here? What's their true potential? How far can this squad actually go? Definitely something to think about. Thanks for tuning in.